Okay, today we're going to run through two ways of cleaning your beer lines. So that time of year we're pulling kegerators out, putting beer systems back together that may not have been used in a while, or just a general know how to clean your beer line system. So we would use these are beer line cleaning bottles, 5 litres, 4.5 litres either. Keg coupler goes on the top, we push gas in, it pushes the cleaner out. They can be quite expensive. A cheap alternative for home use is something like these. So this is a real cheap and cheerful, less than a tenner garden sprayer. We get a bit of silicone tube or some kind of tube that's going to connect this to the beer line, and I'll show you that later. So first of all, we need to make up our chemical, so our cleaning chemical. I know some people out there and they say just water, and it's not fine at all. If you're running a system for a while, an easy way to prove this to yourself, run water through it until it goes clear and there's no more beer in the system. Leave it 20 minutes, pour that into a glass and have a look at it. And if you drink that, I'll accept that you're happy enough to clean it with water, but maybe others aren't. So there's a couple of cleaners. There's all different ones on the market. It's important that you understand the concentration that's needed. So that's a Jangro one, Cork Hygiene. A lot of people use that. That's really available, and they're pretty much available easily. Here's the one we use, Celerex. It's made by Biocell in Cork. I'm not sure how easy that is to get on a private basis, but it's really, really good. Also, either one is fine. Now, both of them have different concentrations they use. So that's a 4% solution, and that's how they say it. So say if we'd probably only use 2 litres of it. So we want to understand, right, what's 4%? How much of this do we need to put in? Get your calculator. So 2,000 millilitres is 2 litres. So put in 2,000, multiply that by 4% or 0.04, and we're 80 millilitres. So we need to put in, if we're using this one, we need to put in 80 millilitres per 2 litres. So 80 mil in a jug can be kind of hard to see where it is. What I would suggest you do, if you're going to be using the same one over and over again, get a little bottle and a measuring. So put that on and fill it until you have 80 grams reading. So water is the same weight as it is volume, 1:1. So 80 grams, put a mark in it, and now you don't need to measure anything ever again if you're using the same 2 litres. Obviously, if you're doubling it, you need to put in twice that amount. But it's just a real handy trick that we use in the trade. Instead of us taking out measuring things each time, we have a mark on that. We know that goes in, and it's that simple. These are, they're horrible enough chemicals, to be honest. So it's a chlorinated alkaline cleaner, quite strong. You definitely need to wear gloves. And you definitely need to wear safety specs when you're at it. A splash of that in your eye is not good. They're designed to break down protein. Your eye is made of protein. Not good mix. So yeah, put 80 mil in, fill it to 2 litres, about halfway, there kind of thing. And the same if we're using this. So this is a 2 litre container. 2 litres. So the same, put 80 mil in, fill it up, and you really want to be using about 2 litres of cleaning solution to go through it, because we're going to be cleaning the coupler and the tap separately, and to have a bit extra is no harm at all. And then after, we're going to use twice the volume of clean water to flush everything through. So we're going to put 4 litres through the tap once we have everything cleaned, and that gets rid of all the residue of this entirely, and at that point then you're safe to put beer through it. So I'm going to show you hooking up both systems. We're going to pull some cleaning liquid through. I'd have left this clean condition, so we're not going to get a heap of gunk coming out of it. If you've not left yours in a clean, you really need to consider just changing the bit of beer line. Now, it's easy to get. There are a number of suppliers around the place. Bar hire people, Sláinte Bar Hire is one. They'll either sort it out for you if you bring it to them, or if you get a bit of beer line and just replace it out. It's so easy to do. I'll show you how to disconnect it. We're going to be taking it all apart anyway. And look, you should know how to do it every keg you get. clean the lines. Every other keg you get, clean the lines and take the tap and the coupler apart, clean that. So okay, I'm going to bring the camera in and I'm going to show you us connecting. Okay, so the next step is, here's our keg coupler, and handle is up, gas goes in, puts pressure into the keg and pushes beer up through here. These are called John Guest fittings. They're quite easy to take apart, I'll show you in a minute. But if you're pulling out your kegerator and this still has beer in it for the last number of months, I would really change it out. You can clean it, but what you're going to find and a good test again, is once you've cleaned it, leave some fresh water in it, leave it overnight, pour that into a glass. If you can get a smell, kind of a musty or mouldy smell or taste off it, then the lining inside is after breaking down and it's just beyond repair. But again, it's relatively easy to replace out. So we have our cleaner in. This is just for demo, it's not full, but we'd have 2 litres in here and our keg cleaning solution, our keg line cleaner as well. So our tap is closed, our gas is on, we can connect up. And we're going to push it out through the system and just into a container in the top. Maybe 400 or 500 ml coming through. We know we've the system full of beer or full of beer cleaner. We just stop it. I really want to leave that for 10-15 minutes. Just leave it do its work. Okay, so we've washed this out. We'll fill up with cold water again, and now we're going to flush the system through. And again, we'll connect up. I'm going to pressurize this. So we just leave that run the whole thing through. We'll stop, empty our tray, run it all through, and now I'll show you how to dismantle everything. So, okay, that's that now all rinsed through. If we weren't taking it apart, now we could connect up with our fresh keg of beer and run the system. So what if we don't have one of these? Okay, we're going to use one of these cheap and cheerful garden sprayers, household sprayers. This is just a bit of silicone that I picked up in hardware. This happens to be 5/16 line. It could be 3/8. It could be 1/2 inch. So you're just going to have to get some hose that kind of fits and just make something up. There's no big pressure on these at all. Remember, we're not connecting up to the gas at 2 bar. We're using this now to push it through. So the very first thing we need to do is to go around and turn off our gas. So I've turned off the gas at the bottle and I'm going to release the pressure from the system. Like that. Now I know it's safe, there's no pressure in here, and I can disconnect these. These are John Guest fittings and they come apart quite easily. So there's a grey tab in there. What we want to do is push it in. The tab will also go in. We'll hold the tab in and then pull the gas line out, and the same for the beer line. So I kind of use a mixture between my fingers and thumbs and pull it out like that. So that's the gas line disconnected. And the same for the beer. So that's the beer line disconnected. Now we'll clean this separately. But for now, all we're going to do is simply connect up this to our beer line. Press it on like that. And create some pressure. And we should be able to put our cleaner through. Remember, we're running 2 litres and whatever the concentration is required. Read the instructions. This is so simple. Hold our flow right open. We have a trigger here which is going to release the liquid to go up into the system. So we'll give it a few pumps. And I can see it's pushing through. So it's not going to be as big as flow as previously. But we should, there we go. So we now have cleaner coming through the system. That's going to clean our lines. So obviously this is going to be a bit of a slower process than using the wash bottle, but it'll still get you there and it will still work fine. Leave it sit. We'll come back to it and we're just going to run it all through, wash this out, fill it with cold water, push all of that through twice. So do it twice. And now we're left with our lines are clean at this stage. So that's the lines clean. And I'm going to show you how to do the coupler and the tap. I'll do a close-up on that. So it's detailed enough, but it's well worth doing it. Okay, so now that our line is clean, we're going to take apart and clean our keg coupler, or tapping head, they're also called. And we're also going to take apart the body of this, of the tap. Both are pretty easy, so it's an easy enough process to go through. There's a non-return valve in here, and there's a non-return valve in here. So we do not want beer coming up here and going into the regulator. If you've got beer or liquid into your regulator at some stage, it's going to wreck it. Maybe not immediately, but in time it's going to give you awful trouble. Stuff can grow in there as well, so you can get bacteria and mold growing in there. Bits of that are going to get blown into the keg. It's going to put it off. So that's why the non-return valve is in here. So it's just a little bit of silicone usually. So there we go. So John Guest fitting. There's your gas non-return valve. So it can push gas in that way, but it can't put anything out. And again, on the beer side of it, this is just usually a ball that floats. Really simple. And you'll hear it rattling. So we'll leave that in there. There's no need to take that out, but there is a non-return valve in there so that we're not getting, when we're finished and we decouple the keg, it doesn't empty itself back down. Beer can only go up and beer or gas can't go down. So we need to take this apart. Again, these are just so simple. There's a pin there that holds it together. Take the handle off. We don't want to put the handle in cleaner, so there's some brass and aluminium parts in that. They wouldn't get on well with it. And then the cleaner. We'll put all this into it. So it pushes up through. And so we're left with the body and this. So I don't know if you can see there. I'll try and get some close up for you. So we have a build up on here, even though we've been cleaning it. It will come off in your hand, but you can see that cleaner didn't do it. So this needs a manual scrub. So we're going to have some beer line cleaner in here at the same strength that you would have made it up. You could save some that's coming out during your cleaning of the clean stuff, put that through. And again, stuff like these. So we use these hoses, or these pipe cleaners are pretty good. So you're going to just clean all components of it, all parts of it. Put it in, give it a good clean, and give it plenty of time to soak. And again, up through it. So I've just pushed out the little non-return valve, and there's a retainer in there as well. Obviously it goes up that way. And that's it, and we leave everything soak for, say, 10-15 minutes. We'll come back to it, we'll rinse it, and we'll rebuild it. Okay, so we're back. They've been soaked for 15 minutes. We've rinsed them off in nice warm water, washed everything through, so everything is now clean, and we'll put it back together. So let's start with the non-return valve in the beer. So yeah, this is what, sometimes there's a ball, sometimes there's something like this. The idea is they float, and when they're floating, so beer is floating them, and that's the seat face, it lifts off and allows fluid through. So that goes in. There's just a little retainer sits in there. Goes down into it a bit, and that's it. You hear that rattling. I'm going to push this back down into the body, and you can see the slots in here. So the slots need to align where the handle is going to grip it. So these notches in the handle will slip in there, like that. Put in our retaining pin. Clip it on. Our gas non-return valve puts in there. There's actually a double seal in this. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes it just relies on this. Sometimes there's a seal in the John Guest fitting as well. So that goes in. And they don't need to be spanner tight. You don't need to swing off these. Hand tight is usually good enough. A tiny little nip from a pump wrench or a pump spanner is fine, but don't over tighten them. They're only plastic, they will break. And then the beer outlet. So yeah, that's your keg coupler now cleaned and ready to push back in. So the John Guest fittings, you just push, or sorry, your beer line just pushes into the John Guest fittings, and your gas line just pushes in there. Just make sure it's all the way in. And I would always test it before connecting it up onto a keg. So your gas shouldn't be leaking when your handle is up. It's only when your handle is down in that position that it should allow gas to come out. So like that, there should be nothing coming out of the system. Okay, let's move on to the tap. On a flow control tap, there's two components we need to take apart. So there's a little nozzle in here, or a disc. And this is really important to clean every keg. You can get a bit of yeast buildup that can block your little disc. If your stout isn't pouring good enough, or breaking out, pouring flat, there's a real good chance that you've one or more of the little holes is blocked. I'll just get something to push that through. So just something that fits up in there, pushes that out. And we've three components with it. So there's a little seat or a holder, there's an O-ring, and there's the little disc itself. So I'm not sure how good this is going to show now. It comes close I can. So a little disc with tiny little holes in it, and you need to be able to see through all of them, but they're going to get a soaking cleaner anyway. Then we'll take the rest of it apart. So this just unscrews. And that comes up. So we have two O-rings here. If you find that your tap is leaking, it's constantly dripping, then you've that O-ring is perished and just needs to replace. It's really cheap to do. And if it's leaking through the top here, then this O-ring is leaking on you. We can't put all these components into here, not with caustic, so we'll unscrew the handle from it, take that apart, and I'll show you the parts that we can clean. Just bear with me and I'll get a screwdriver. Okay, so take the pin out, handle, this little sleeve that goes up over this, and the spring. So these bits in the spring we can put in the cleaner. That's brass, we don't need to, it never touches beer anyway. And then we have the flow control. So let's take this lever out. So that comes out, and again there's another O-ring in there, and one last bit, let's just take it off the shank. So there's a locking collar there, it just holds it notched, and then our flow control, so that's what controls the flow. Further that goes into that sleeve, the cone, it just slows it down. The further out you have more flow. So put all them into cleaner. We're going to, when it's in cleaner, leave it soak 15 minutes, and again we're going to get our brush, we're going to clean out everything, run through all components of it and get everything nice and clean. So I'm going to leave that soak in cleaner for the length of time. I'll give it a rinse, we'll come back and I'll show you the assembly. Okay, so we're back. That's everything cleaned, rinsed with warm water, and everything is now cleaned and ready for assembly again. What I like to do is put a tiny bit of silicone grease on the O-rings. No, I mean the tiniest smear of it, and it just keeps everything in good order. It stops anything binding, and we just need a really teeny tiny bit. So, bit in your fingers. Any place there's O-rings that it's going to touch, we'll put it in, and that's it. Okay, so first of all, our flow control needs to go in. So you can see there's a little hole in there. That needs to line up with this roundy piece, and that's what controls it. So we'll put that in somewhere like that. And around there we're going to push in, tighten up. And there, so you can see now that we are controlling it again. string. The collar, the tap handle. Screw that in. It's so well worth doing. Once you see, once you've taken it apart for the first time and you see some of the gunk you end up getting out that wasn't able to be got by the cleaner, yeah, you'll be way more inclined to do it more often. Okay, so that's that together. This just sits in, and just make sure to keep it vertical. That's about it. Lock it in with the retaining nut. That's it. Everything flows nicely. If that isn't in the right position, you're after binding something, so just undo it and go again. There's no need to be hard with anything on here. And then we'll put our nozzle back together. So our disc goes in again, just make sure that's nice and clean. Oh, sorry. So we'll put our nozzle back together. The first piece to go in is the little seat. Just make sure it's sitting square. Then the disc goes in next into that. Again, make sure it's sitting flat. And then the little O-ring goes in, so that both holds the disc in place and also creates a seal. So just take your time over this, make sure it's sitting in there properly. Not sure if you can see that on camera. Okay, and put your nozzle back in. And say, yeah, that's that bit back together. Okay, so we're going to put our keg coupler back together, our tapping head. We'll take off our bit of silicone, don't need that. Again, beer out the top. Just push in and just make sure they're all the way in, and you'll feel it go. And again with the gas, it's all the way in. So the coupler is up, and let's just do a check on the system to make sure we've no leaks. So I'm going to turn on the gas now. This is up, so we should have nothing coming out. So our gas is on. That's good. We've no leaks. Okay, so we're connected up again. No leaks here. Nothing leaking here. Everything shuts off as it should do. Flow control works. And that's it. So now we have a clean system. Hook on your new keg and you're ready to go.